Today, I've got a bunch more to read while I play some Minecraft. All right, let's judge some strangers. Okay, first one. I found out my partner was emotionally involved with another girl while pursuing me. Can couples recover from that? Oof, already off to a rough start. So we have a 26-year-old woman dating a 28-year-old guy. They met last June, clicked instantly. He had just moved to her city for work, and they started going on dates. She felt really seen, like it could actually go somewhere. Pretty wholesome start. But of course, there's a but. Early in the relationship, he told her there was this girl from his hometown he used to have a fling with, and that they were still in touch. Not just the occasional meme exchange, they were talking every day and hanging out. Yikes. She told him she wasn't okay with that. Fair, honestly. She's a one-person-at-a-time type and made that super clear. He said he felt the same, except plot twist during a fight. He told her that if he'd still lived in his hometown, he probably would have dated the other girl because she's amazing. Brother what? Who says that? Eventually, he apologized, said he'd cut her off. And the relationship moved on, or so she thought. Fast forward almost a year later, and she's at his place. He goes to work, and yeah, she opens his laptop. Classic, I know I shouldn't have, but I did moment. And what did she find? WhatsApp messages, lots of them. From the same girl. Emotional conversations, video calls. She sent him Instagram reels like Happy Girlfriend's Day and Make me a rose out of tissue paper. He said, okay. Like, this wasn't some forgotten fling. This was ongoing emotional intimacy. All while he was taking her out and saying he was being exclusive. And the kicker? 2 days before their first date, he told the other girl he loved her. Now he's crying and remorseful, saying he's changed. And she admits he has changed. He's been loyal for months, but she can't shake that feeling. Was I just the backup? Look, I'm going to be real. He definitely wasn't all in at the beginning. That, if I lived at home, I'd have chosen her line? That's not something you come back from easily. Like, how do you unhear that? Can couples recover from this? Yeah, technically. But should they? That's a different question. Personally, if I found out the person I'd been investing in emotionally was emotionally investing in someone else behind the scenes, I don't think I could come back from that. All right, next one. This one made me physically recoil when I read it. So there's this 34-year-old guy who works as a house sitter. He watches people's homes and their dogs when they're away. Sounds like a chill gig, right? Until you hear what else he does. He cleans, organizes, all the usual stuff. But also, he rifles through the owner's closets. Not just snooping, he tries on the clothes. Women's clothes, to be specific. And not like, oh, I'm just curious. Number. He walks around the house in them. Sometimes lingerie, sometimes married women's stuff because, and I quote, it feels more thrilling. And here's the worst part. No one knows. He puts everything back exactly where he found it. No one suspects a thing. In fact, they keep hiring him back. Okay, but this is not quirky. This is straight up violating people's trust. Like imagine inviting someone into your home, thinking they're keeping it safe. And meanwhile, they're walking around in your Victoria's Secret robe, sipping your wine. It's not kinda wrong. It's fully wrong. Dude says he's been doing this since high school. That's not a phase, my guy. That's a lifestyle, and a creepy one. All right, hope you weren't emotionally recovering yet, because here comes another gut punch. So this guy's dad took their aging golden retriever to the vet and had it euthanized. But he didn't tell his son. He just did it. Now, the dog was old. Health issues, kidney failure. The vet said a transplant might help. But the dad? Didn't even consider it. Just made the appointment. And then lied. Told his son the dog had a seizure and died before they could get to the vet. What? The son was devastated. He would have done anything to try to save that dog, but his dad just didn't want to deal with it. And when the son got upset, the dad accused him of being too emotional. Bro, he's literally mourning the family dog you secretly killed. I think a few tears are justified. Look, I'm not even saying the decision was wrong. The dog probably was suffering. But to lie about it? To deny your kid a chance to say goodbye? That's cold. That's soap opera villain level. All right, this one got me conflicted. A woman has been working from home with her husband for 5 straight years. Like 24/7 together. No breaks. She starts feeling burned out, not from the relationship, just from never having time alone. So what does she do? She lies, says she has to go to a mandatory work conference, books a hotel, takes PTO, and just chills for a few days. Sleeps in, orders room service, watches Netflix in a robe. Queen behavior, honestly. But her husband had no idea. She only came clean after the fact. Said if she'd told him the truth, he would have felt bad, or worse, made her feel guilty for needing space. And here's where I'm torn. Wanting alone time is 100% valid. Lying to get it? Not ideal. But also, if you can't tell your partner you need a weekend to yourself, that's kind of a red flag too, right? This wasn't about cheating. It wasn't about secrets. It was about needing air. And the fact that she felt like she had to hide that says a lot about the emotional dynamic in that marriage. Okay, this next one starts off super light, but slowly gets more cursed the longer it goes on. So this woman buys herself a white dress. Nothing wild. It's not a wedding dress. Just a casual summer white dress she found on sale. She wears it to her friend's party. And her friend is furious. Because apparently she was throwing a surprise engagement party for herself. Which, not a thing, by the way. The friend goes full bridezilla mode. Accuses her of trying to steal the spotlight and wearing white at her pre-wedding event. Ma'am, what? This was not a wedding. It wasn't even an official engagement. Just a get-together with friends where she happened to announce she was engaged. And this poor Reddit user didn't know that was coming. She literally said, "Had I known it was an engagement party, I would have worn something else." But nope. The friend went full, "You ruined my moment" on her. Okay, 2 things. 1, if you throw yourself a surprise party and don't tell anyone, you can't be mad when people don't follow the secret dress code. And 2, who gatekeeps the color white at a non-wedding event? She didn't wear a veil. She wasn't holding a bouquet. She wasn't trying to walk down the patio aisle. She just wore a cute dress to a summer party. So yeah, no, you're not a villain for buying the dress. You're just the main character in someone else's unhinged Pinterest board. Here's one that feels straight out of a sitcom, except way more petty. So this woman is naturally a redhead. Think bright, eye-catching ginger. She gets invited to her friend's wedding, and the bride pulls her aside and says, "Hey, could you maybe wear a brown wig?" Why? Because the bride's fiancé used to date a redhead, and she doesn't want the reminder in her wedding photos. I mean, what? This isn't just insecure. This is Olympic-level insecurity. The OP isn't the ex. She just happens to share a hair color. And now she's being asked to disguise her entire head because the bride can't separate her friend from her fiancé's past. To her credit, OP says no. And then the bride uninvites her. Yep, just like that. If you won't wear the wig, then I'm sorry. You can't come. Okay, I'm sorry. But this is a new category of bridezilla. Like, please don't upstage me is one thing. But please don't be a genetic reminder of my man's ex. That's psychological warfare. The top comment nailed it. If your relationship is so fragile that a guest's hair color is a threat, maybe don't get married yet. Ah, the baby name wars. Classic sibling drama. So this woman is pregnant. She and her husband have a name picked out. It's meaningful, tied to both of their family histories. Let's say it's Leora, she tells her sister, who is not pregnant, not even trying. And her sister goes, "Oh, I was going to use that name." Cue the drama. Now the sister is guilt-tripping her. "You knew I liked that name. You're stealing it from me." Meanwhile, OP's like, I'm the one with the baby on the way. Let's be real here. If you're not pregnant and someone else is, and they want to use a name you like, that's just life. You don't get to reserve names like domain handles. And even worse, the sister starts pressuring her to change it. There are so many other names. Just pick a different one. Girl, what? No one owns a name. And you especially don't own it if you're not even using it yet. This one feels like the beginning of a true crime podcast. So OP's been dating this guy for over a year. They're serious. He basically lives at her place. But he's always vague about his own place. Says it's just a storage unit. Until one day she follows him. And it's not a storage unit. It's a fully furnished apartment, like with food in the fridge, a made bed, even fresh towels, clearly lived in. So now she's spiraling. Is he living a double life? Is there another girlfriend? Is he secretly married? He swears it's just a backup. Says he likes having a second space for mental clarity. Okay, but that's not normal. Like, if you need a retreat, book an Airbnb. Don't pay rent on a whole other apartment and lie about it. And the lying is the worst part. If he had just said, "Hey, I like having my own space sometimes," it'd be weird but honest. But to call it a storage unit and then stock it like a second home? That's sketchy AF. She hasn't broken up with him yet, but honestly, girl, you deserve better than a part-time ghost boyfriend. Okay, buckle up. This one is a slow burn that turns into a full-blown betrayal, and I'm still not over it. So OP, female, 32, has been married to her husband, 34, male, for 5 years. Together for 8. They met in college, got a cat together, bought a house, the whole thing. To the outside world, solid, boring, stable marriage. But recently, OP's dad had a medical emergency. She rushed to the hospital only to find out her mom was never contacted. Why? Because her dad, who lives alone, had listed her husband as his emergency contact years ago, assuming he could always reach her fastest through him. Makes sense, right? Except, plot twist. Her husband never answered the phone. He'd gotten the call, ignored it, didn't tell her anything. Just shrugged it off, said it was probably a butt dial, and went back to watching Netflix. Meanwhile, her dad was in surgery. She only found out because her mom called her later, asking why she hadn't been at the hospital. Cue immediate panic, Uber ride, crying in the elevator. You get the idea. When she confronted him, he tried to brush it off, said it wasn't a big deal, said, "He's old, it's always something," and, get this, said he didn't want to stress her out at work. OP's a teacher. She literally has her phone on silent most of the day, but would have dropped everything for that. So she starts spiraling a bit. Wonders if this is a one-time moment of selfishness or something deeper. And that's when she does something a little shady, but honestly, understandable. She checks his phone. And what she finds He changed his emergency contact 6 months ago. It's no longer OP, it's his co-worker. Let's call her Madison. Now, let's be clear. This isn't a case of, oh, Madison's just a buddy. Madison is the co-worker he always talks about. The one who gets his humor. The one he insists is like a sister. The one whose Instagram he likes every selfie of. And now she's his emergency contact. OP confronts him. He swears it's nothing. Says Madison is just more reachable during the day. Claims he forgot to tell her. Then he tries to deflect. Why were you looking through my phone? Classic move. So now she's not just dealing with the fact that he ignored a life-threatening situation involving her dad. She's realizing she's not even his first point of contact anymore, emotionally or practically. And honestly, that stings more than she expected. Here's where it gets messier. She tells her friends. Mixed reactions. Some say it's not a big deal. Maybe he just made a quick change at work and forgot. Others say this is an emotional affair in slow motion. But the kicker? She messages Madison. She keeps it civil. Just says, "Hey, I noticed you're listed as my husband's emergency contact. Just curious, did you know that?" And Madison responds with a confused, "Yeah. He said you two were separated." What? OP is blindsided. Madison apologizes profusely, even offers to send screenshots. Turns out her husband's been emotionally prepping a new relationship this whole time, playing the unhappy at home card. Saying OP is cold, distant, doesn't get him. You know, the greatest hits from the gaslighting playlist. He wasn't cheating in the physical sense yet. But emotionally, he was already building a new version of his life that didn't include her. One where Madison was the person the hospital would call. One where OP was already out of the picture. Let's talk about that. Emergency contacts aren't just paperwork. They're symbolic. You're saying, this is the person I trust most when everything hits the fan. So when your spouse swaps you out for someone else and doesn't tell you, that's not just shady. That's betrayal in bureaucratic form. OP is now staying at her sister's, weighing her options. She's hurt, but also angry. And honestly, I don't blame her. This wasn't a one-time mistake. It was a series of choices. A slow, quiet deletion of her place in his life. The top comment nailed it. The affair didn't start when they slept together. It started the day he stopped thinking of you as the person he'd want in an emergency. Chills. All right, last one for today. This one's so petty and specific, it could only happen on Reddit. So OP is a 27-year-old woman living in a shared apartment with 2 other women. Let's call them Cassie and Bri. They're not best friends, but they've been decent roommates for about a year. Chores are split, bills paid on time, no major drama. Until OP goes on a work trip for 4 days. When she comes back, there's a literal lockbox installed on the fridge shelf. Not the whole fridge, just her shelf. She asks Cassie what's going on. Cassie acts all surprised and says, "Oh, that's mine. I had to install it while you were gone. Bree keeps eating my stuff." Okay, understandable, right? Except here's the thing. That's not Cassie's shelf. It's OP's, as in labeled, organized, and very clearly stocked with her food before she left. OP opens the fridge again and realizes Cassie's put her own things on OP's shelf, locked them up, and moved OP's groceries to the bottom drawer, the veggie drawer, where her almond milk is now sideways and leaking. This is wild behavior. When OP confronts her, Cassie says, "You weren't here. I didn't think you'd care." So let me get this straight. You steal someone's shelf, move their stuff, install hardware, and then say, "You weren't here, so I thought it was fine." Make it make sense. But it gets worse. When OP asks her to move her things back, Cassie refuses, says, "I already drilled it in. You can use the drawer for now. It's only temporary." Temporary. As in indefinite. Because a week later, the lockbox is still there, and Cassie's acting like it's totally normal to colonize someone's fridge real estate. So OP does what any rational adult would do. She posts about it on Reddit, and people lose it. Top comment says, "Take the whole fridge shelf out and leave it on her bed." Another suggests replacing all of Cassie's food with decoys, like whipped cream cheese in a yogurt tub. But OP stays civil. She writes a note, includes a screenshot of the lease that says all shelves remain communal unless otherwise agreed, and asks Cassie to remove the box. Cassie goes nuclear, starts crying, says she's being ganged up on, accuses OP of being a bully. Then Bry, remember Bry, the one who supposedly eats everyone's food, chimes in and says she never ate Cassie's stuff. In fact, Cassie's the one who keeps nibbling at other people's leftovers. So what's really going on? Cassie didn't need a lockbox. She needed control. She wanted to play fridge police, and she used a random absence as her power grab moment. OP's now working with the landlord to request mediation or, ideally, new tenants when the lease is up. Final thoughts? If your roommate's installing hardware on shared appliances without asking, you're not in a living situation. You're in a low-stakes hostage scenario. Run. Thanks for watching. See you on the next episode. I'll try to find my loot too.